tones and chord tones. Chord tones are the notes of the chord. So if you're playing over an A7 chord, your chord tones will be A, C sharp is the third, E is the fifth, G is the flat 7, which makes the chord dominant. Then you have another root, another third, another fifth, another seventh. You have another root, and you have another third there, which you can reach by bend. But first try to visualize it, and when you do visualize it always, visualize the chords. If you go from here to there, you should be visualizing that this is part of an A7 chord. And that's why you're moving from there to there. For the 4 chord, we have, by the way, I'm showing all the chord tones in this position. Obviously, you want to look at them in all positions, but I figure if people of different levels are taking this lesson, if you already know your scales in all the positions, you will find them in other positions. I will show them in the most basic position that most people start with, which is the 5th fret. Guitar player's favorite spot to hang out. So for the 4 chord, D7 or D9, what we have is D is the root, F sharp is the major third. Remember, F sharp is not in the scale. Okay, we're going to talk about more about that. Then A is the 5th, C is the flat 7, then you have D, another root, major third of the chord, A is the 5th of the chord, and the flat 7 right there. So now we have the 1 chord, and we have the 4 chord, actually this is also a chord tone, but they are kind of hard to reach from there, so maybe first look at them from the root. And then we have the 5 chord, which in this position is going to give us root, major third, 5th, flat 7, root, major third, and 5th. One of the things that you can do with these arpeggios, these chord tones, obviously if you're playing blues, you don't want to be playing like, because that's not going to sound like anything that anybody wants to listen to. But you can use that as an exercise so that you can really learn how to find the chord tones, even though you would never play a solo like that. So for example, you can practice little phrases like say, okay, if I have a quick change, which means that it's going to the 4 chord on bar number 2, that's going to be going like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can practice going like, that way you can connect them. A more advanced way of doing it will be to just incorporate some of those notes, not all of the notes, in some of the phrases that you played. So you can go like, so I went, see, I'm incorporating the major third of the chord there, and then go, I have the major third for the 4 chord D7 there. Between the major and the minor pentatonic, you have a lot of notes that you can use, and adding the chord tones can be a really good addition. So I'd like to show you a couple of little things that I found. For example, if you're using this F sharp note, and you're playing over an A, you have a really good opportunity here to hit that flat 7 by slide, by stepping on that note, or by bend. So you can go, so when you bend this note up a half step, you're actually reaching the flat 7 of the chord. Something that I also like a lot is if you go to the major pentatonic, when you go to the major pentatonic, you have to be very, very careful, because the major pentatonic contains a C sharp. And if you're playing this C sharp note over the one chord, it sounds kind of happy blues, or a little bit more towards the country sound, you know. But if you play this note over the 4 chord, oh boy, you're in trouble. Because the 4 chord contains a flat 7, which is a C. So if you step on this note during the D7 chord, what you get is that, which, unless you're scoring a horror film, you probably don't want. Now, the one thing I did find is that a lot of times, instead of stepping on that note, if you're already in that position, when it goes to the 4 chord, you have a great opportunity to reach that flat 7 from this position, for example, by going... See, if I bend the half step from the B, I'm hitting that chord tone right there. Let me show you what happens here with that. Now here's my A major pentatonic. So I'm bending from a B, and I have my other chord tone here for the D. Now, again, you don't need to know much there. You don't even need to know where the notes are. If you can visualize this chord and you know that's a D7 and that's the chord that you're playing over, that's a note that you can use. See? Here, that bend is giving us the flat 7. Here, the bend is giving us the flat 7. We're going to look at more things like that when we do the licks. Also, pay a lot of attention to dynamics. You know, when you are playing, try to find a sound to play with where if you play hard, you know, it's going to respond to that attack, and if you play soft, too much distortion will make it sound more towards rock, and then, you know, if you play it a little bit cleaner, a lot of blues players play with a clean sound, especially in the early days. They play with thicker strings and cleaner sounds, and those styles are also amazing styles. But typically you want to have a sound that is somewhere in between. It's not, you know, not too much overdrive, but some, so that when you hit it hard, it compresses a little bit and gives you a little bit of sustain, and when you play soft, see how the sound changes when I play soft and when I play hard. That's it for now. Let's go to the next lesson.